Big show.
Yes, sir.
Big show.
I got to get up on your morning motivation there, man. I see you all pumping yourself up. Yes, good morning. I'm like, yes, I need you every morning, dude.
That secret juice. It's that secret juice.
AKA Colombian beans, ground beans. Here we go.
I'm telling you, man. I had a whole thing lined up to play something for you, and then friggin' Spotify is acting up. I'm gonna try it one more time, okay?
Okay.
This is not the intro I had in mind.
Okay. Ready? Let's pretend I'm not here.
I had an intro in mind. I was gonna play it. Hold on. Okay, here we go. I hope it works. If it doesn't, pretend you're not on the screen. Okay? Introducing my boy, Donovan. I am Mr. All Talk. Here we go. Friday morning, making money moves. It was either going to be that or...
What the Rock is cooking.
Yes. Oh, man. I should have brought my belts out. I didn't know this was going to happen. I would have brought 2 belts out and just had them up here, man.
Oh, my God. Listen, thank you for making the time. Where in the world are you? Are you in Canada, U.S.? Where are you?
I'm in New York right now.
You are in New York.
I'm in New York. Yeah.
I hope you never leave your apartment or condo or house.
You know, the thing is, it's like, I'm not trying to say I'm a very risky adventurous, but I go for long walks, but I avoid people. Right? Like, I go to the grocery store. I go get my salads, I get out, but I don't, even when we went to go visit one friend and we all wore our masks and stayed away from each other. It's weird.
It is weird, man. And it's like the cure for this thing is to be isolated from people.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not like pop 8 pills, take an injection, it's stay the fuck away from people.
Yes.
and then the other thing I started to think about is, okay, if I gotta stay away from people, now I gotta stay with myself. That time, I started hanging out with myself.
I'm still forgiving myself for things I did when I was 16 because of quarantine, man. I
was like, what? I gotta hang out with myself, listen to myself, and pay attention to myself with no other distraction. What is the world trying to tell us?
Yeah.
So good to see you. I love your COVID look.
Thank you, man.
Hair looks fine, sexy as hell.
Thank you. This is actually a brother-in-law quarantine haircut, man. Experimental fade. So he did well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Listen, I appreciate you making some time. 9 a.m. is a risky time for people because everybody's just rolling out or trying to figure out what to do. And so for me, this is a exploration into my own brain. I think I told you about the book, and then I got stuck, and I was like, okay, I can either keep banging my head against a whiteboard trying to figure out what I want to say, or I just start talking to people about the topics that interest me, and then that'll help me figure out from other people's journey what I'm trying to say. And this is day number 10, bro.
10.
Day number 10. So I'm super excited that you're number 10 for me.
Yes.
I know
Perfect
we 10. Each other in the past, and there's another video where you break down sort of, your journey from education to emceeing and things like that.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to go into too much today because that's in the history books. I want to talk about other stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about new things.
But give me a 30-second intro to you so people have it. It's in the video files.
Woo! So the elevator pitch. Okay, so basically I'm a master of ceremonies, event host, also an educator. I'm putting all those 3 together, loving it, enjoying it. It's almost like you can call it the triple E's if you spell MC the proper way, right?
Yeah.
Wrestling fan. Just, a straight talker. And now what I'm doing is I'm getting into the education for MCs.
Nice.
So I'm really happy for that. And, it's funny. It's like MCing has been part of my identity. And with COVID, it's like some of my identity has been kind of taken away. But I'm trying to kind of find out with creative ways to keep my identity real and active, and I've been like working with MCs around the world, man, and I've been really pumped up about that and expanding my MC network. So,
you know, you already dropped a whole bunch of bombs, okay? A whole bunch of bombs that I want to dissect.
yes,
Because one of the topics we talk about all the time is this identity, and how so much of our early identity is a hand-me-down identity from parents, from, you know, from the culture, from, you know, whoever. Sometimes it's an identity created out of competing with a sibling, because you're like, man, my brother's
yeah.
kicking ass, but I have to be better than them, even if I don't like what they're doing. Talk to me about your identity, because you got a new identity that you're really, you know, sort of promoting, which has always been you.
Yeah.
Fucking dude. And I still remember at that last time we hung out, I was like, yo, how do you bring that beast out? Like this, you go from like this quiet, you know, what's up, on event to give me the mic. So talk about identity. What does that mean to you? How have you seen that evolve for yourself?
You know, the thing is, it's constantly evolving, right? Like, you know, like when they say, oh, you got to be 20 years old or 25 years old and you got to know what you're doing. And then where they say, okay, by the time you get into your 30s, you already know what you're doing. The thing is, you have, I think experiences change you on a daily, right? I don't want to make it seem like your identity is something that's in stone. It's who you are. I understand like we all have core principles, but at the same time, I think that we're always evolving, man. We are always evolving into like the new us. And now it's like, you know, especially with COVID, you're saying like you have so much time with yourself. It's like, I guarantee you, everybody is a different person coming out of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is a different person with maybe different expectations. You know, like for example, like I was even talking with my wife yesterday about like, you know, like the Black Lives movement. It's like people who might have had a certain bias, maybe working on that to change up themselves. But for me, I've always been like this entertainer. And yesterday I did a podcast with my buddy in Australia, and we're talking about like how us entertainers, we all have certain values growing up, how we were always like the loud ones in school, even with yourself, right? You know, talking at school, trying to find a way that we can take the stage, whether it be through presentations, through weddings, through events. And, you know, thinking about it, I've always had those same personality traits growing up, but like, you know, like when I'm MC Donovan, that is like my identity. That is who I am. I'm not trying to say like I have a multiple personality a defect, but like I do change. I become like this superhuman when I get up on that stage. And even like when I am teaching, I become very like, you know, pristine and, you know, very like understanding, and I can listen, and my whole personality changes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like when I'm a husband, I lose it all. No.
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
Wife becomes the boss.
It's a fascinating topic I've been diving into, right? Because, you know, this whole week, the theme has been around like reprogramming your mind from you know, words like failure and success to accomplishments and tasks. You know, really understanding not just what you're doing every day and how you're doing it, but why you're doing it. And the idea of why we do stuff is so massive in people's head. Like, you know, oh, I got to figure out my purpose. And they're looking for the holy, you know, Jesus climbing on the top kind of a moment.
Here it is. You, my son.
What are you supposed to do, my son? But it's not, right? Like when you distill it, you know, your identity and your pillars that you mentioned, your alter egos that we create, all continue to point back to the little person in you that kind of knows what makes you happy and tick. Yeah. You know?
But can I just say something on that?
Yeah.
You know who I've been really working on in this COVID time? Me.
Yeah.
Not MC Donovan, not teacher Donovan, Donovan. Because I find when I am Donovan and I'm trying to have conversations with people, it's like if I can't do the MC thing or the teacher thing, I kind of get lost in that little shuffle. It's like, well, who am I? Then I realized, listen, I'm the jabroni beat it or whatever, as The Rock would say. I'm the geeky wrestling fan, man. Yeah. I'm a video gamer. I'm you know, I'm a try to be cook. Yeah.
Yeah, and now you got space to explore that, and you know, this concept of alter egos is so interesting because we give. Like, even when you were talking about it, you're like, no, I don't want to sound like I've got multiple personalities and things like that, because it's put into this like negative light that
It is.
You,
Yes.
you got to be this guy or this person and stick to it. And I've always fought against that because I looked at myself saying, okay, the person that gets on stage at AC Fest in front of 100,000 people,
Yeah.
that person has a different mindset to be able to take that beating for 12 hours of unscripted public interface. I'm not reading off a script. I'm not acting a scene. I'm in
No.
front of 100,000 people. I don't know who's in the crowd, if they're drunk, if they're feeling violent, if they're, love, and they just want to like come on stage and like, do something. Yeah, right? So I'm like, yo, that person is much different than the guy who puts on the suit and goes to work at his agency with 65 people that I need to guarantee payroll every 2 weeks. I need to make sure they've got a safety net. I've got clients in the door. And then there's another guy who gets out of the car, walks into the house, and now it's daddy time or husband time. And they do not care what my receivables are like or my
Yeah.
payables are like, And so
Tell us what the sponsorship packages were like, Daddy.
I feel like, it's important to have those boundaries because if Satish Bala comes home to my wife every night, the CEO, you know how fast I'll be divorced? Because she would hate that version at home who's this bossy, let's go get shit done guy.
Yeah.
And if Sats B went to work, my staff would be like, what just happened? So I feel like we need to figure out how to create these alter egos that allow us to operate in places where we need to be the best and not feel bad about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, as you're talking, I'm thinking, it's like there is like a negative discourse that comes with like, it's because of what that so-called disease called multiple personality disorder,
Yeah.
right? Well, that's like on another level. I think this is like another version of it, like the positive version of it, where like you're doing good things. But yeah, no, because like sometimes there are leaks. Like for example, as I mentioned before, MC Donovan can be leaked into Teacher Donovan, and it is effective.
Yeah.
Sometimes when Teacher Donovan can go into MC Donovan, it can be effective. But you're right. It's like, but then how do we become that person at home without leaking?
Yeah.
That alpha structure style of
100%.
being in our
100%.
home, and that's I think
So,
the challenge.
So one of the things that I wanted you to talk about a little bit is, if you go through your different identities or different sort of ideas around who you are. One of the things that I know, people that watch me talk all the time is how do you know what your strengths are? How do you know what your weaknesses are? How do you keep a tab on it so that you could consciously choose, I'm going to spend time in my strengths or I'm going to consciously attack my weaknesses. But if you do it for the wrong reason,
Yeah.
then you're burning time and you're getting frustrated and you're getting disconnected from who you are, right? So at what point you start to pay attention to like strengths and weaknesses and who you are?
Yeah. So first, I think like even like teaching, like we recognize our strengths, right? And we obviously, our whole day is based around our strengths. And I think that's the main thing, whether you're in the classroom, whether you're in the on stage, or whether you're home, you exercise your strengths 100%. For me, I know I'm a multitasker, right? I like to do things, and that will come into my home. That will come into every avenue, and I always like to shine that as much as possible. But then, as you're like you put one way, it's like we attack our weaknesses. I think like the new thing is recognizing our weaknesses, right?
Well,
Recognizing, okay, this is where I'm not strong at. This is instead of calling them weaknesses, areas of needs. That's like the teacher talk coming out, but it is truthful. Yeah.
Mr. Donovan Fernandez.
It's like the areas of need. What am I not good at? Right? It's okay to open up and be vulnerable and say, hey, you know what? This is what I'm not good at. I need some help in here, right? I need some help. Open up to people. And even like when I was talking with Bobby, it's okay to have, for example, like prior to a certain time, I was doing my work here and I would have a buddy on WhatsApp and he would be doing his work.
Right.
Why? Because I like to procrastinate sometimes, right? I can get distracted sometimes, right? So I recognized that weakness. I opened up about that and I tried my best to solve a problem, right? Or to adjust to weaknesses. And we were there 3-4 hours, just boom, keeping each other motivated. And I brought that up even with Bobby too. And I'm like, yeah, it's always good to have an accountability buddy, right? but that involves you being open with yourself.
Right.
That, recognizing what your areas of needs are.
Yeah.
And the other portion is being vulnerable to it. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say, hey, I need help in this. Let's go at it. But as you said, do not sit there and just dwell on it and kick yourself in the ass for it, right? Because you're burning energy, and that's not good.
What a great way to set that up. I always tell people, especially from a South Asian perspective, there's such heaviness in the stuff that we're not good at. Like it becomes a point of focus for everybody. You suck in math, that's all they focus on. Your weaknesses become somebody else's entire focal point around you.
Yeah.
We're not taught how to break that. So then when we move into other stages of our lives, whether it's being married or being in a relationship or getting into higher education, that mindset of my weaknesses define me just follows through until it either crashes or you find a great accountability partner who says, hey man, this is the strengths that you should focus on. And that stuff, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. But it makes everything, it takes a lot off when you're just open up and you just be honest. I'm going to give you another example. I'm returning back to teaching in September after 2 years. Right away, I go to my new principal. Okay, I need a mentor. I need a mentor that's going to help me kind of just transition me back in, because I know that I'm not coming from the mindset of the teacher that just stopped in June. I'm coming from the mindset of a teacher that stopped in June 2 years ago. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I just want to make sure I get off on the right foot, and that's it. It's just, and it opens up. They open up saying, hey, you know what? I didn't know that. Sure. And now I have one, and I'm looking forward to it, right? It took off a big stress off my back.
It's amazing how when you open up to the universe or become vulnerable, how much support we actually have. And people that are listening and people that are going to watch later, there's no downside to asking for help.
None.
And every reason you can think of to not ask for help is only in your brain. And I've learned it the hard way through my own business and struggles where I lock up because of ego, or I don't want to tell people my problems. I want to be this perfect upfront person. And you realize nobody can do anything alone, period. And I mentioned this to this kid that we talked about on Monday. Even the act of being born, it takes two people to make you. So
yeah,
I don't do anything alone in life, So let's talk about the break as a teacher, because I love the fact that, you channel some of your passion to figure out, hey, can I do this thing? I've struggled with this a long time ago. Man, like, what if I did go into DJing full time, 20 years ago when I was like really in it and I consciously stopped because it wasn't the best career? What could I have become? Or, we do the AC Fest once a year, but can I have turned that into a global Live Nation meets Spotify meets a record label, and we stop short in the things that make us happy sometimes.
Yes.
There's no money tied to it, or there's some other things that hold you back. And this show is about, our relationship with money and how it impacts our ability to be passionate. Talk a little bit about how you channeled your passion, took the risk from walking away from being a teacher for a couple of years, and now this new brand where, you're all in on not just being the greatest MC, but teaching others.
Yeah. So it all started off with, like, for example, the opportunity to come down here, right? My wife was working, and I'm like, okay. She's like, hey, why don't we do this? I'm like, I thought about it. And to be honest, it's like you think about, hey, taking a leave of absence from your job is like, wow, like it's crazy. And then obviously I knew some big players down here in the wedding game, and I'm like, listen, this is what's up. Can I be used? Right? Like, can I work with you guys? And they're like, absolutely. Like, because it's not like I'm flying over all the time.
Yeah.
So I was able to come down here, get my paperwork in order, and start working out here for some of the, actually, they're called Platinum Roadshow, DJ Sunny Entertainment. And I was able to MC out here in New Jersey, New York, Philly, down to Florida, like just consistently. But the hard part is I also have to keep away. Hold on. Yes, you're born. Yeah, thank you. Uh, and then, but the thing is, I had to keep up with my Toronto clients. So there were times I'm flying back and forth, and the idea of traveling just sunk. It's hard because like when you have a 6 a.m. flight, and for anyone that travels like the short distances, if you want to get to your destination, guaranteed take the early flight.
Yeah.
Because even if there's a 5 hour delay, your flight is going out.
Yeah.
That 6 a.m. flight is going out at 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock or
That's
1
great.
o'clock, you know?
Red eye, baby. I love red eyes.
Right? And it was tough. So that was tough. And then obviously as I was here, I'm like, okay, what is my next step? Because again, I put ageism on me. I'm like, okay, I'm a certain age. I don't see myself going out and rocking weddings into like my deep 40s, which is fine. I know it, but
Jay-Z still getting paid to do outdoor.
Yeah.
Bro,
but I'm like, what is my next step? And my next step was like, okay, what am I good at? So I started writing out my strengths. And it came to me, even talking with someone, it's like, why don't you do webinars? I'm like, webinars? And I took that, and I haven't even released it yet, so that's right.
Wow.
And it's there. So I have been like on Skype mentoring other MCs, right? And even mentoring people that want to get into public speaking, because it's the same quality traits. And I recorded a whole bunch of tutorial videos, working on putting on that beeline footage right now. And the other thing is, it's basically for like, for example, if the average cousin Bobby gets called to be a wedding, there's not much info on the internet.
Right.
There's not. I have the one-stop shop, and it's great that I put my teaching and my
incredible, right?
talent together. And I actually had a course, like a test course in Toronto, and it went so well. It's like, it's like, like, what's that movie called? Harry Potter, and it's like all the school of magicians and wizards. And yeah. I had my own little school of MC. I was like, it was like my dream come true, man. And it was so cool. It was so awesome.
I love how you said it's my dream come true. And I feel like so many of us seeking a window into our passion need to look at what are the dreams we wish will come true. Because that really is the ultimate living your passion, right? Like you said it perfectly. My dream come true is to get up every morning and work with musicians, work with artists, help their careers move one little notch above, create or be part of the creative process to get original music that didn't exist into the universe. See somebody I love who's hustling in the studio, get a 15-minute slot somewhere. Like that's my dream, right? One of the things I struggled with for a really long time in moving into this role was, how do I charge people to learn from me for something that I naturally just love doing, versus like you come to me tomorrow and go, hey Donovan or Satish, can you make me an app? And I'm like, yeah, bro, it's 50 grand. This is what I do. I got a team, go. And I feel like, mate, can you help my career as an MC? And I need to do some branding and like visualize myself. All of a sudden, I'm like, I can't charge this guy. Like,
you know how guilty I felt?
How do you get past that, man?
You know what? It's more like, hey, it took me 10 plus years to get where I am. I'll tell you all the ups and downs. And what I did, I use my current mentees, like the ones that I have, and I let them talk about the importance of having a mentor. What took me 10 to 15 years, now they can accelerate it within 1 to 2 years.
Right.
They don't need to go through all the loops and hoops and everything I've done. I will pass this on to you for an X amount of dollars, right? But even then, so like for example, like when I was doing my course, I charged $200 per person. People are like, oh, you should be charging $999. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with $999? How can I charge that to people, right? Like it's almost, I lived that. I lived with that guilt. I'm like, no. Okay, let's do it down to 300. Then some people are, oh, 300's a pretty steep price.
Yeah.
$300. I know they're going to make it back. They're going to learn everything I know. They're really going to come out there as a better MC than pop. It's the first, but then I said, okay, it's the first one. Let me just do the first one. Let me build myself up there, and let me find out where my worth is going to be. Even my course, I still I still struggle with my partners to find out what will I charge. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's interesting, right? Because this is where I go back to the identity thing, right?
Yeah.
You walk into Satish office, I know exactly what I'm worth. I know what I'm going to charge you. There's no ifs and buts. I don't care if you're a buddy or a stranger off the street. You want me to build you a piece of technology, I know my value right off the bat. That's the business guy, Satish, right?
Yeah.
But I spend more time as SAT B, which I don't even ask for a penny for, even though that is my happiest moment with an artist. So in my head, I'm like, well, look, if my time is my time and my experience is my experience and my value is my value, then how do we become more comfortable? Because money is an emotional thing. You can't touch it. You can't really feel it. It's a number in an account, and it goes up and down. And then we dump all of this emotion into what it means to us, what it defines us, and then we sort of make some really, really, deep decisions that I think are not that deep.
Yeah, I can't. It's funny because as MC Donovan, I know exactly what I charge. You do walk in, yes, this is what I charge. This is what I do. Thank you, right? Teacher, it's more like this is what you get paid, right? Which is fine. But yeah, like when it comes to this, it's hard, man. Yeah. And maybe if we could have a discussion offsite about this would be a great kind of level up for me just to find out what I could charge. But
no, I think it's for me it's understanding that our passion is what defines us at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
All of the paths we take lead to our passion. Some people are lucky enough to make that decision very early. I'm going to be an artist. I don't care if I'm starving or not. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah. And they get a longer life with their passion. Some of us hit it midway, right? Like I sold a company or whatever, or I moved because of my wife, and then I have a chance to follow my passion, and I get a bit of time with it. And then there's a bunch of us who are like, oh, once I retire, I'm going to be this person, and we get less time with our passion.
Yeah,
All three roads lead to what we really seek, which is to live our passion. Yeah. Right? And I think this is where I've been really focused on, and hopefully through the book and the work I do, which is either consciously know that you're parking your passion and then deal with the mental health and other issues that come out of not doing your best work, or find a way to parallel like what you're doing. I'm going to be a teacher at this times, and I'm going to be an MC at this times, and then you live your passion just enough where it doesn't create a
gives me that itch. Yeah.
Right.
But can I say to anybody that's even struggling to make a decision, just go with it. Because you know what? If COVID has taught us anything, don't wait for tomorrow. Like, crazy. I can't tell you, like, with how many people are probably kicking themselves in the, oh, yes, we're going to go traveling here one day. Okay, go. It's done. Like, oh, I'm going to do this. I think this is proven. Anything can happen at any time. Yeah. Don't wait, man. Don't wait.
I'm so glad you said that, because the next question that I want to do set me up.
I'm great at segue.
Like, I'm going to set you up, Satish. Go. Habits and routines. I'm a firm believer what you do every single day can predict where you're going to go in life. What are some of the habits and what are some of the routines that you guard, like things you have to do every single day, every single week, that give you this sense of momentum?
The funny thing is, prior to COVID, I was well-oiled, right? I was good. When I was traveling back and forth between it did kick the crap out of me, right? And like it changed up my routines, but like some of the things, and then just prior to like the big lockdowns, I was like going to start traveling with my wife, and we were traveling, and then we got sent back. And we, jet lag kind of took the best of us, and we just kind of created this new normal. But in terms of that, getting sleep is big for me. I was never really a sleep person. I was always go, go, go. But I just noticed I was a lot calmer, right? I was a lot calmer when I got a little more sleep, just a little more sleep. I'm not saying sleep in 10 hours, 12 hours. No, I'm not even saying sleep your 8 hours, but for me, in between 6 to 8, I'm good. Yeah. I kept making lists of things I need to do, right? Write what you need to do down. Even if it's every day. You wake up, and you just write what you need to do down, and you'll just enjoy that crossing it out or checking it off. That is something that has kept me really focused and productive, is making my self lists.
I love that, man. I love that. You know, I'm such a techie, right? So I have all the gadgets. I literally have 3 iPads at home, computers, and I realized after like struggling to keep some momentum and consistency, the best thing is a $9 book and a pen.
Yeah, man.
And
right here.
You know,
where is it?
No more digital note taking and trying to synchronize. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna take it. And there's something magical about actually writing
it down.
Like somehow your brain just understands in a very different capacity the things you want to accomplish when you write it down on a piece of paper and pen. And I started doing that about 6 months ago. I got rid of all my gadgets. I'm sticky notes and notepad again, and I've seen a dramatic difference, man.
Yeah. The other thing too, and it was hard, but like getting less screen time, really just tuning off from the screen, and getting off and doing something else. Like, for example, like I was getting like these little woodworking kits, and I've been making these little like gadgets, right? And it's been fun, right? But it's just my time just to be me, just to geek out and and just be me.
So how do you manage the feeling of FOMO that technology has created, that if we're not plugged in, we're missing out? How did you start to live with that feeling of it's okay, it's cool?
Well, I always think like, what am I telling the students? Like, and like just one of the last lessons I ever taught a live group of students is how to manage yourself before bedtime, right? How to downplay your time. And I made, depending on what grade I had, because it was a summer school, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of something I'm going to teach. I taught them how to make a schedule, like how to turn yourself off. Because I said the big problem I'm finding with young people is they're getting bad sleep. Their heads are just jumbled. They don't know how to slowly land their plane into their bed. Yeah. And I'm like, we made like a list of things to do. I made them write out a schedule. So I tried to implement, especially during quarantine time, because I found it was so easy to sit, watch Netflix, easy to scroll.
Tell the adults and give us 3 things we should do starting today. We need it too, bro.
Okay. But like people might not agree with it.
Everybody should do starting tonight to wind down. Okay,
for example, if your business is on your phone, like through Instagram, Facebook, I deleted the Facebook app from my phone, so I can only go on it on my computer. My wife, she helped me get a new Facebook, just limiting that to my business, for to my close friends and family. And that way I could still manage my business account. So that's the first thing I did. The other thing is set a time where you just don't do anything. It might be 1 hour a day. Start small, right? Start small. 1 hour a day. Do something else, but put your phone down, right? And maybe use the app. Like if you have an iPhone, like I have an iPhone, and like you can like turn apps off from an X amount of time to an X amount of time. And do it.
That's great.
It will help. But like just certain things, like I notice it's so easy. Like if you look around at like when I was on the subway or when I'm like pumping gas, you see everyone is just like just doing whatever they're doing, and they're just scrolling. I'm like, are you making money? Are you hustling? Because I remember back in the day when you saw someone on their BlackBerry, you knew they were at it. You knew they were making money. You knew they were doing something important, right? But now when you see people on their phone, I'm like, you ain't doing nothing. You're just bored, right?
No, you know what I do? It's retarded, but I try to get close enough to stare. And 9 out of 10 times, it's Instagram, it's TikTok.
Yes. But see, look at the data your phone's telling you, right?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, it's okay.
What's up, brother? Good morning. You can color in my iPad.
perfect.
I got an artist in the making, 9:37. He wakes up to go coloring. This is real time, people. This is real time. You know, if I get a little deeper on this fear of missing out, I want to get your thoughts on it. I used to be like that because I have 2 phones and all of them are jacked with apps that I'm constantly checking, from LinkedIn to Instagram to
Of
Facebook,
course.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then anytime I'll put it down, I'm constantly thinking about what is happening. And then I ask myself, well, what do I fear missing out? Like we always say fear of missing out, you know, FOMO, but I never stopped and asked myself, okay, what do I fear that I'm actually missing out? Is it deals? Is it gigs? Is it messages from, like, what do I fear? Because the 4 most important people in my life
All right there.
are right there.
Yeah.
You know, they're living in my house. And so if they need me, they're going to come out. Anything else is a business intention that never is important enough.
Yeah.
And as soon as I asked myself, what do I actually fear that I'm missing out? The answer was nothing. And then the FOMO was gone. You know, it was really crazy, man. And it was as simple as that.
But it is nothing. It is like, sorry, it is something, for example, but it's nothing that can't be reached in 2 hours, 1 hour. There's no, like, you know, I think, again, COVID has really shaped up everything. It really has put things into priority. You know, what is important? What is not important? For, you know, for me, I get clients coming in and obviously they're rescheduling their weddings or they're still doing it, but they can wait. It's not like I'm getting back to them in 10 days. Like I'm getting back to them in a couple of hours. And, you know, like, you know, one thing I even started practicing, and that's a cool thing. Like my wife and I, like we have tried different things just to keep our phones off. I remember like we actually colored. I went on the internet. I printed off some, like, obviously I had some wrestling sheets. If I can find them here for you, I will. But like,
I want to see you color the rock.
Oh man, it was so funny. I'm going to find it. I have it here. But like I had some like wrestling sheets and I had some things out here. Oh, here it is. And
awesome.
You know, where is it? Right here. Look at that. But like, you know, but it was so cool.
Was that Ultimate Warrior? Was that Ultimate Warrior?
Yeah. It was Ultimate.
I knew it. See, that's how I played that track. If you just joined, just go back to the beginning.
Wow.
So it's the epic. We had the opener, and we had the mask. It was crazy.
Yeah, but like just doing that simple things, like it was so therapeutic. It was so cool, right? Working on my little wood things or doing Sudoku puzzles.
Yeah.
Like,
I love every time I speak to you. You've got all of these little micro things that are not big grandiose things you got to do. That just keeps you balanced. How do you practice gratitude? Do you do any?
I just gotta share her picture. I just gotta do that before.
Wow. Was that you or was that your wife?
That's my wife's. Which one do you think is mine?
But tell me about, you know, practicing, you know, gratitude and do you do any type of manifestation and sort of mood boarding like that?
Well, first I picked up meditation this year, right? Where I use an app called Headspace.
Okay.
Right? And I just force myself to start giving myself just a little bit of time. And I remember from our first interview, the first one we did, one of my I guess pointers was celebrate the small victories. Right?
I remember that.
And I remember I was getting like, a 10-day run, a 20-day run, a 30-day run. Okay, I missed a day. The app is very forgiving. They're like, it's okay. Come back when you need to come back. Took a couple of days off, started my run again, right? I just appreciating these small things,
right?
You know, and you know, but then I have like this feeling where I kick myself in the ass again for not doing these things much earlier in my life. And when I say much earlier, I mean like I wish I was a smarter kid when I was 16. That's one thing I've just been running through my head a lot. I wish I was a smarter person when I was 21, 25. Like, you know what I mean? Like I keep going back and I'm trying to get rid of that feeling saying, hey, whatever happened then. You can't change it. It made you who you are now.
That's
right?
it. That's the only lesson, bro. It's the rear view as you drive forward. You need to kind of look behind you every now and then to make sure you're doing the right thing. You're not repeating mistakes. But I believe everything we've done in the past is literally there to guide us into the future. And sometimes your past is the wrong turns you made, and sometimes the right turns you made. But They're literally there just to propel you into where you got to go. Final question.
Yeah.
A lot of the folks that watch me, a lot of the DMs I get is like, when I hit that low point, when I hit that big life struggle, I don't know how to pick myself up. It's not about motivation, or maybe it is. Talk to me about, if you can, maybe something that happened that like just rocked your boat, and then how did you overcome it?
I'm not going to get too much into specifics of it, but like, yeah, no, I remember like I hit a very low point. I started listening to podcasts because at this point, like, I didn't feel like talking to anybody. I didn't feel like, it's like I was suffering from burnout, like bad burnout. And I just started listening to podcasts and just started just listening, right? And I found just listening and hearing things, making notes on it, it really helped me get out of a funk and really helped me believe, okay, I can do it. I can get in. I can climb a ladder. And it's celebrate your small, tiny victories. Because if you give yourself like, I want to climb that mountain, you're not going to celebrate your first step. You're not going to celebrate your second step.
I love that.
Like you got to change the mentality. And like my brother always told me, he's like, you got to control the thoughts in your head, right? And because, they say like your thoughts then shoot out as your actions and your words and your personality and your character. And he said it all starts, how people point to the heart.
Boom!
It all starts here.
Say that one more time, man. Say that one more time, loud and clear, in that MC voice of yours, bro.
Oh.
That's the knowledge bomb. That is the bomb that just everybody had to hear today.
People always say it starts with your heart, but it also starts with your mind, and your mind controls your actions. It controls your words. It controls your character. So it all starts here, right? But it is, but it's so true, and that's why they say even if you're not religious, right? Like for people that are religious, the power of prayers are the power of your thoughts, right? If you're not religious, the power of thoughts is the things you're putting out there in the energy, and it's like you gotta control that, and that's why meditation has been helpful, because it helps you control your mind, right, and focus you to be present. I'm learning. For all those that are hitting the yes 100%, thank you, I appreciate it, but I'm learning as I'm growing. Like I've done a lot of things and different things where it's still kind of like a trial and error thing for me here, right? It really is a trial and error thing, and I'm just doing what works. And if it doesn't work one day, I'll go to something else. But the one thing is, you got to control your thoughts. And
my dude, we're gonna end on that note, because I don't think there's a better ending than getting an MC voice, the big bomb message. Control your mind, control your thoughts. I love the fact that that's where we're ending, and so many other bombs from like how to cool down for the day, how to make sure you take your passion and turn it into a business that you can, sort of help others and be in the moment of being passionate. And I love the fact that you're kicking butt in the U.S. And doing your thing. Talk to us about the book. We're giving away a book. If you're interested in the book, and it is and full transparency, this is a full-out marketing play. You want to get a book from me and see what inspires Donovan, you got to tell a friend. You got to tag somebody. You got to share this podcast.
Please do, yes.
Help us get the message out, and we're going to reward you with some knowledge, okay? Some knowledge. So tell me about this book, man.
My book? Oh, yeah, The Road to WrestleMania.
Book. Why? Tell me about this book, because somebody's going to get it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so basically, I'm a big fan of wrestling, as you could tell. Like, I have it right here. And there was really a character that it's not even a character. It's him as his real life. He was a small guy that got to main event WrestleMania 30, and he literally had to go against the grain because he wasn't like the 6'6", 300-pound guy. His name was Daniel Bryan, and his story is just so motivating. He's such a good person. He's such a good dude, and he fought, and like he won the crowd over organically. There was no gimmicks. There was no nothing. And so funny thing is, can I just tell you, I was in Philadelphia to watch Pittsburgh to watch the Royal Rumble. And the whole crowd wanted him as number 30 to come in and win the Rumble, go to WrestleMania. Because we heard the rumor was to have a guy by the name of Batista versus Randy Orton, and the crowd did not want it. And when we found out he was not going to be in the Rumble, we booed. The whole place of 15,000 people booed. And they continued to boo every Monday, every Tuesday, every time Raw was on. If you watch the story, and I'll send you the link, they booed and booed and booed and booed and booed until finally the people that make the decisions up there, Vince McMahon, changed and rewrote the entire script to put him in the main event.
What a story. Owning the mob. Oh
yes, it was so cool. And like, his story was obviously because of injury, he got injured, but his book just talks about his whole journey, living in a car, eating only peanut butter sandwiches, and how wiping and cleaning gyms, living in a little tiny 200 square foot room. Like, buddy,
that's incredible. Listen, if you guys want a book, it's very simple.
Yes.
One of you is going to get it, courtesy of us and Donovan for picking it. It's a great story. I want to get one and read it too, but I get you one. All you got to do is comment below and tag a friend who should see this content, because we all know that one friend that needs to hear today's message. My dude, on the way out, here's what we got.
Motorhead.
This is what we got.
Sure.
I love you for joining me this morning. Say hi to your beautiful wife.
Thank you very much.
The incredible knowledge bombs. There's so much content here to dissect, cut, and slice, and I'm going to watch it all over again to get inspired again.
Yes.
So I really appreciate you. Stay safe, and then hopefully we'll connect in person post-COVID sometime and hug it out.
Straight up. Thank you very much, man.